Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's me, Niall, just going solo on this one to give a quick reaction to the breaking news this afternoon. The major breaking news that the highly anticipated super fight between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford has reportedly been agreed now to take place this coming September in Las Vegas, Nevada. Yeah, huge super fight between two pound for pound talents. I'll be giving my thoughts on that and who I think is going to kind of come out the winner of this. And just my thoughts on the fight overall. Of course, it's a dare to be great mission for Terence Crawford, jumping up two weight classes to challenge another multi-weight pound for pound king, Canelo Alvarez, at super middleweight for what could be, what probably will be the undisputed super middleweight titles on the line in September in Sin City. So yeah, I'll be giving my thoughts on that. But before we jump into today's reaction, please don't forget, we'd really appreciate it if you enjoyed the content to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel at ESBR Boxing, follow us on all social media. Always great content coming out on a regular basis. Reviews, previews, interviews, breakdowns, all that good stuff. So yeah, like, share, subscribe, ESBR Boxing. We really appreciate it. So yeah, let's jump into today's topic. Today's breaking news, as I say, broke about an hour ago. The Ring reporting that Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford have agreed a deal for a super fight to take place in September at 168 pounds in Las Vegas, Nevada. Of course, it's been talked about for a long time that it was going to happen. It looks like we are finally getting that now. And it's been met with interest and reactions this fight from me personally, but from a lot of boxing fans. As I mentioned at the start of the video, it's a dare to be great mission for Terence Crawford. Multi-weight world champion, undisputed welterweight world champion. Um, you know, Junior middleweight world champion now, one of the best fighters we've ever seen, unbeaten. Um, you know pound for pound star, pound for pound top three fighter in the world, jumping up now two weight divisions to take on Saul Canelo Alvarez. Yeah, when you think of the phrase "dare to be great," it applies to situations like this. It's an incredible leap for Crawford. It really is. It doesn't get any bigger than this. He believes he can do it. He believes he can do the job. And before I kind of give my thoughts on how I think the fight will play out. I think of all fighters on the planet who could do this, who could pull this off, it will be Terence Crawford. He's that much of a genius. He's the only one that you probably would back to do it, but it's an incredibly tough ask against, not only jumping up to win world titles against, world class operators, you're jumping up two weight divisions to win uh, compete and win against an absolutely elite all-time great fighter and Saul Canelo Alvarez. You're talking about Terence Crawford, who started his career at 135 against Canelo Alvarez, who's been a world champion at light heavyweight. It's just an incredible, monumental jump here, and in my opinion, in terms of the fight itself, I think it's too much of a jump. I really do. I think it might be a brave statement to say, but I don't think there's any conceivable way that Terence Crawford wins this fight, as good as he is. I just think it's too much of a leap. The size differential is too much. As I mentioned, Canelo fights at 168, won a world title at 175, walks around even bigger than that. He really does. The size difference on the night is going to be pretty incomprehensible for somebody that started his career as a lightweight. And I don't like this fight for that from that aspect. It is a super fight, of course it is. Two of probably the biggest names in boxing at the minute, two pound for pound talents. By name, it's an absolute mega fight, and it's going to make a hell of a lot of money for both men, which is great. I'm delighted to see the money that's going to make for both men. But it is a super fight in that regard, but in reality, from a competitive standpoint, I don't see it being a competitive fight at all. I really don't. I don't like the fight. In terms of that aspect, I don't think it needs to happen. From a boxing fan's point of view, from a business perspective, as I said, the money it'll generate for both men is incredible. But I think from a boxing fan standpoint point of view and from a legacy point of view for both boxers, I don't think it makes sense at all. You've got Terence Crawford. As I say, Terence Crawford's legacy is cemented already in what he's done, undisputed in two weight divisions. beat the likes of Errol Spence, undefeated, three-weight world champion, four-division world champion, I beg your pardon. So his legacy is cemented, but there is still big fights out there for him. There's the likes of Sebastian Fondora, Bakram Murtazaliev, Jaron Ennis. There is big fights in and around his weight division that I would love to see him take part in. And I'd favour him against all those names I mentioned. But, the time for those kind of fights is running out. He is 37 now. So it's come at an unfortunate time from a fan's point of view. But I just think, yeah, as I say, financially, I can understand why he's done it, and he believes that he can step up and beat Saul Canelo Alvarez. And as I say, he probably is the only person on the planet that probably could do it, but I just think it's too much of a leap, even for Terence Crawford. It'd be one of the biggest wins of all time if Terence Crawford could jump up two weight divisions and beat Canelo Alvarez to become undisputed super middleweight champion. That would really cement his legacy as one of the greatest fighters that's ever lived. It really would. But yeah, Crawford, there's plenty of other fights that I would have loved to see him in around his weight division. And same for Canelo. Obviously, Canelo's come in for a lot of criticism lately for not fighting one particular man, David Benavidez, which is, again, from a boxing standpoint, it's unfortunate. From a boxing fan standpoint, it's unfortunate. But like Terence Crawford, his legacy has been cemented already. Multiple weight world champion. First ballot Hall of Famer, all-time great fighters beaten in his career. His legacy is cemented, so he's not ducking David Benavidez as much as people might like to use that word. He's just earned the right now to take the fight for the biggest amount of money and the lowest risk, which I think Terence Crawford is a fight that epitomizes that. It's such high reward, low risk for Canelo Alvarez, and he's earned it. He's earned it as much as, people might not want to, boxing fans might want to criticize him for fighting David Benavidez. I'd want to criticize him for not fighting David Benavidez. As a boxing fan, I want to see that, but as a businessman, Canelo Alvarez has earned the right to take these sort of fights, and he's earned his legacy is cemented, so he's earned the right to take this sort of fight. But it does nothing for Canelo Alvarez. Such high reward, low risk. If he beats Crawford, okay, well done. You beat, somebody who started a career at lightweight, a welterweight, a junior middleweight, you beat. And if he struggles with Terence Crawford, you just struggled against a welterweight, a junior, So there's nothing to kind of gain from a reputation or a legacy standpoint for Canelo Alvarez winning this fight. And there's really not. And if it goes wrong, it is a big risk that if it was to go wrong, but I don't think it will. The fight itself, Canelo has understandably declined. He has slowed down. He lost a step, which is understandable. He's been a professional now for 20 years this year, which is absolutely crazy. So it's understandable that he's gonna slow down a bit, but he's still beating world class operators at 168. Jaime Munguia, Edgar Berlanga, Jamal Charlo. Um, he still is world class, and you'd still pick him against anybody at 168. And you give a lot of people at 175 a problem as well, outside of the champions and Benavidez, he give a lot of problems too. So I just think he's too big, too strong for Terence Crawford. I really do. Yeah, there's weight classes for a reason. There's levels, there's weight classes in boxing for a reason, and Terence Crawford is biting off way more than he can chew here from a competitive standpoint. He really is. So yeah, I think Canelo beats him convincingly. I think it's an easy night for Canelo competitively. It's a easy payday for Canelo. But legacy wise, I don't think it does anything for Canelo. Legacy wise, if Crawford was to pull it off, he'd be it'd be one of the greatest wins of all time, but I just can't see it. It's too much of a leap, way too much of a leap. Of course, it looks like there will be fights in the interim. Canelo's May date, the first weekend in May. There hasn't been an opponent announced yet for that, which there usually is. So that's quite strange, but it looks like it'll be William Skull, the IBF champion from Cuba, took the belt that was, that Canelo vacated, or that was taken from Canelo, I beg your pardon, and beating Vladimir Shishkin. So I'd say Canelo versus Skull to go undisputed at super middleweight in May will be the move there. And then Canelo, I'd expect to come through that easily to set up the September date with Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford could possibly take an interim fight as well before that. Likely, you'd imagine it'd be at super middleweight to acclimatise himself to the weight. But who are you going to fight to get you ready for Canelo Alvarez? You know, you could fight world class operators at super middleweight, but you'd still it's still going to be a struggle to acclimatise, you know, for such a small fighter jumping up against big, strong 168 pounders. But it'd be interesting to see who Terence Crawford fights now in the interim, if he does at all. If he doesn't take a warm-up fight at 168 and just get straight in with Canelo, it's even crazier. It's even more of a dare to be great leap from a all-time great pound for pound fighter. So yeah, that's just my quick reaction to the news that broke this afternoon, the major news that Saul Canelo Alvarez has agreed a deal with Terence Crawford for the two to face off for the unified and what could possibly be undisputed super middleweight world titles this September in Las Vegas. Date and location to be confirmed. You'd imagine it's going to be the T-Mobile Arena. But yeah, deal agreed. It's happening finally. It's been talked about for such a long time. But Canelo, 99% more than likely, will fight Terence Crawford this September in Las Vegas, Nevada, in what's an absolute super fight on paper. But competitively, I don't see it being much of a contest. Let us know what you think in the comments. Am I being too harsh on Terence Crawford? Does he have more of a chance than I'm giving him in this one? Let us know what you think. Who are you picking for the win? And what do you think of the fight in general? You know, are you disappointed? Are you buzzing to see this fight? Are you pleased? Let us know what you think in the comments. Get involved. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, please don't forget, like this video if you enjoy our content. We'd really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us on all social media at ESBR Boxing. Always great content on a regular basis. And until next time, speak again and take care.